Sub Warriors Fano, welcome to another episode of the Couch Warriors. I'm your host, John Lazaron. I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Richard, the bandwagon conductor, Letty. Richard, today we are supposed to be celebrating an amazing win by the Warriors over the South Sydney Rabbitohs. However, I can't help but feel just sadness, to be honest, over the news of Mitch Barnett being ruled out for the rest of the season after he came off, with a knee injury on that game yesterday, and kind of takes the shine off the game a bit. So I just thought, normally we start off things by going into the game, talking about the game, but I just think this is more important right now, is how severe is this news that Mitch Barnett is going to be out for the season? How big is this news for the Warriors?
It's not ideal, bro. Let's just say that, like it's not. Yeah, when I saw it before, ACL, it's it can take a while. Often it takes over a year for players to sort of really come back to their best we've seen that in the past. So, even starting next season, I don't expect him to be dominating at sort of the level we've seen. But I mean, he's a world class player. He's one of the best front rowers in the game at the moment. Obviously coming off a good Origin win with the mighty Blues. So a big loss for my Blues as well. So it's just a double hit there really. But I don't know the way this team's playing at the moment. There's something about them that even though it's obviously not great, but we've seen this team play through a lot of injuries this year, and the next man stepping up and that sort of thing. So as big as it is to have one of your co-captains sort of go down for the rest of the season, he'll obviously still be in the camp. He'll still be involved, and yeah, I'm expecting Chancellor Harris to really step up and sort of take that leadership role, and whoever ends up kind of coming into their other starting front row, there's a couple of options we've seen this year, whether they'll go with Neil Corey, Jackson Ford. Obviously, they've got the likes of sort of Bunty and Tom Ale playing in the New South Wales Cup if they want like a more sort of dedicated front rower. But it's heartbreaking news, but not the end of the world for the Warriors. I think in previous years it would have been really big news. But the way this team's playing and the way the sort of mentality of this team is, I'm confident that they can play through it.
Yeah, I agree with you, but still, like you said, it's heartbreaking because I mean, Mitch Barnett, he's in such good form. He's in his prime right now. Last season, he had a stellar season where, he got the call up for Origin, finally made the team in the third game, came off the bench, had a great game, made the Kangaroo side, at the end of the year, and then also now for Origin this year's Origin gets ejected into the starting lineup for New South Wales and did an awesome job, did a great job, and he would have easily been picked for number two or three, I believe as well. And it's so heartbreaking because he's in his prime. You know what I mean? You got a player who's just doing such good things, not just on the field but off the field with his leadership. That's the reason why he's a captain as well at the Warriors, and it's just I can't help but feel so sorry for him because I mean, like I said before, celebrating the game. Yes, we won the game, awesome, but this takes a bit of shine off it, doesn't it? Because it's a big piece of news, and like you said, not just for the Warriors, for New South Wales Blues as well. And you know, when I saw it happen on the game, like when he was down, I knew something wasn't right because Mitch Barnett doesn't stay down. He's not the kind of player that just stays down. He'll get back up. You know what I mean? He's got that warrior fight in him. He's got that mongrel in him. He's not going to just stay down like a princess. He'll get up and he'll keep going. But he was down. You can see he was hurt, and yeah, he's not, like I said, he's not the kind of person that would just stay down. So you always knew that something was wrong when he's staying down. When you saw that happen, live, what were your immediate, what was your immediate reaction?
Same to you, bro. Same with you. Yeah, I think there's more to this than just a little, cork knee or something like that. It was quite clear that it was serious. You could see the anguish in his face when as he was being sort of carried, he had to be carried off the field, like and then even the sort of commentators were saying, like, oh, this doesn't look good, and it was yeah. So to see that it was an ACL, I was gutted, but I wasn't. wasn't massively surprised. You know, like I was like, I'm sure he was going to be out for a few weeks anyway. But yeah, the rest of the season's heartbreaking, and as I said before with ACL, like I just hope that he's able to sort of bounce back next year because it can be a real hard one to bounce back from. But here we are, and they'll have to do that, and we might see a glimpse of it, this weekend when we come up against the Sharks and see who they have playing in that spot. Do you have any hot takes on who you think is going to fill the role?
Um, well, I think maybe Jackson Ford will get put into starting, or maybe New Kure, and then maybe they'll bring in another second rower. Maybe like Halasima will come into starting in place of Niokore, and then also they might bring someone else in just to cover Halasima's spot on the bench. So maybe they'll just do that. They'll just do that. But if they're going to bring, like you said, if they bring a specialist prop into the team, I mean, probably Bunty or even Tanner Smith. I think if not Bunty, I think the next person off the rank, off the cab is Tanner Smith. That's who I reckon they'll bring in. I think he's above Tom Ali at the moment, in terms of the pecking order. So that's who I reckon. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they put Niokore into the front row and then they bring in Halasima into the starting second row, and then they bring someone else onto the bench. So who that is, I don't know, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. But I guess all I can say right now is prayers are with Mitch Barnett and his family. It's a sad story, and I bet you every single Warriors fan is really really gutted about this because he's a fan favorite. Not only is he's our skipper, he's not only our skip, he's a fan favorite as well, and we know how vital he is to this team's success. But like you said, we've got some other players coming out that can fill the role. I don't know if they can. He's set a bar really high, Mitch Barnett. So those players have got to go and do the job now. And I just think, I heard Andrew Webster saying in his post-match press conference that we've got players that can come out and do the job. Doesn't we've got players that know that the job they have to do, and we've got players that can do that. So they're still confident as well. But and like you said, thankfully we've still got James Fisher Harris out there. He's gotta keep away from injuries and also suspensions for the time being. But again, wish a speedy recovery for Mitch Barnett, and yeah, prayers with Mitch Barnett and his family, and hopefully he'll be back soon. Hopefully we'll see a miracle and he'll be back even sooner than expected. But yeah, again, just took the shine off the game a bit. So we'll talk about the game because it was a good game to watch. It was a very entertaining game. I got my wishes. In our last episode, I said that I would love to see a very more I would love to see the Warriors step it up in attack, and I think that's what they did. They piled on 36 points, but they led them 30 points as well. However, I just thought personally that the Souths did a pretty good job. They were pretty good. They were pretty hot on attack as well, so it was hard to stop some of their plays. Latrell Mitchell, what a freak! But let me hear your thoughts on the game just in general, in summary of the game against Souths.
Yeah, bro. It was one of those games there. It was I think you've sort of hit the nail on the head there that it was just good to see the attack going, like the fact that we managed to score 36 points. I think it must have been
Yeah,
7 tries in the end because Metcalf had a bit of a shocker. Like he sort of was missing some pretty easy ones and then he nailed a couple of ones from out wide, but later on which proved,
yeah,
quite valuable. But yeah, so we must have scored 7 tries. But yeah, it was just and we were scoring them in different ways, like it was sort of, it wasn't just one way we were sort of going about it. You had sort of that one that Dallin, so it's good to see Dallin, get his first one for the season. Rog had a couple of good finishes out there. That one from Halasima, which sort of came from a couple of offloads. I think it was from Varmoga and Chance, I think maybe. But just keeping the ball alive. That's the
yep,
sort of Warriors footy we know and love. So yeah, obviously, I mean,
yeah,
there's been a few games this year where we've won the games, but we're only scoring sort of 18, 20 points. So it was good to see us sort of pile on a few more points. I mean, yeah, Latrell Mitchell, that guy, when he's on, he's one of, if not the best player in the comp, and that was what he was doing. That those two passes that he,
yeah,
he sent out for Johnson to score in the second half, they were just absolute on a dime, and then that try he scored just pure strength, just close to the line. He kicked that at 40, well, it wasn't a 40-20, but Chance tried to stop it and he put his foot out. And he was just
yeah,
doing it. He was just doing it everywhere. So The fact that we could kind of often when he gets in that mood, like the teams don't lose. So the fact that we managed to sort of hold Souths off from there, and yeah, I think that final sort of like 5-10 minutes when they came back, they scored a couple of late tries, and we started getting a little bit worried. It was promising to see that we didn't capitulate. You know, we sort of obviously there was something said in the
Yeah,
huddle to say, "Come on, like we've got this," and they really like they weren't letting any they weren't letting the South players through any gaps. They just sort of tightened up the defence. So I would have preferred if they'd just done that for the final 10 minutes, and we wouldn't have had to sort of have that slightly stressful sort of moment. But yeah, it was just promising to see him. A mate of mine, I think when we were up 12 with about 7 minutes to go, he was like, "Oh, this has been a real good Warriors win, eh?" I was like, "Bro, just don't go there, man." And then they scored that try. South scored that try, and I looked
yeah,
at him. I was like, "All right, man. If the Warriors lose here, I'm putting it on you." So,
yeah,
shout out to you, Macca, if you're listening. But yeah, well, I mean, that's what I was watching a couple of mates, and everyone was sort of saying, "Hey, it's actually good to see us score some points." And our attack looked a lot more.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we should have won by 12, 18 points, obviously. So it was a great, entertaining game, and performances all around to really sort of enjoy. And I mean, it gave me. But yeah, even with the whole sort of Barnett being out, watching that game, watching how the likes of sort of Jackson Ford stepped up, Fisher Harris had a really good game, I thought.
yeah,
Those young boys off the bench, once again, Halasima and Valmoga doing their role. So it gives me confidence to know that we've got the depth there, especially with
yeah,
Valmoga and Halasima re-signing last week. Like that's till 2029. You don't see that very often. Players, like young players signing for that amount of time. So that just shows you sort of where the club's at and where they see their future, and it's a really exciting prospect for the club. So hopefully this is going to
yeah.
give these guys a
Was
bit more
it?
of a chance to really shine.
Yeah, was it Valmonga or was it Jacob Laban?
Oh, Laban, sorry,
That
Laban,
signed for
yeah,
2029. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, but
Laban,
I
yeah,
think
sorry,
Valmonga signed on long term as well. But
yeah, yeah,
yeah, no, I totally 100% agree. And don't you hate it when that happens when the Warriors get a big point buffer and you just know you can't just go sit back in your chair and go, oh, sweet, we've got this, we've got this. It's never the case, is it, with the Warriors, is it? Like, I remember we were 18 points ahead. We were three tries ahead. We could have been more if Luke Metcalf made some of the conversions, but
yeah,
still, 18 points is a big, big, big gap. But I honestly did not sit in my chair comfortably thinking like, okay, sweet, we're good here. We're good from here. We're nothing to worry about. I honestly always get worried that something's just going to happen, like something's just going to change, like the momentum's going to shift really quickly. And it did. It always happens to the Warriors. For some reason, and it wasn't because they were just lacking in defense, because I thought our defense was pretty good. It was just because South put on some really good points. The tries they scored are actually pretty good.
yeah.
And
I mean, that's it for Latrell
Yeah,
Mitchell
so like I
decided
said,
that, yeah,
yeah,
Latrell Mitchell decided that he wanted to like put his print on the game, and like everything he touched was turned to gold. So the fact, yeah, I'm happy we were able to slow that down. That's for sure.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, I'm pretty sure that you and I are not the only Warriors fans out there that get comfortable when the Warriors have a big points lead, because we just know from experience that no matter how big the Warriors lead is, you can't be comfortable because the team always, for some reason, finds a way. And thankfully, though, we are actually still winning the games. But man, do they not? Do they want to give every Warriors fan a heart attack? I don't know, but yeah, that's the pressure of being a Warriors fan. You just know that you just can't sit comfortably in your chair because for some reason, even if you have a big point gap, something's just gonna change, and it always does. There's no jinxing about it or anything. It's just something always tends to happen. But as long as we're getting the wins, I'm happy. As long as we're getting the wins, I'm happy. And just going back to the whole creativity thing about the attack, like we spoke about this last week, right? We said that if you asked me the question, what would you what needs to change, and I just said the attack. Our attack has been really missing in the last 4 or 5 games, despite the fact that we won 4 of our last 5 games. Our attack
Yeah,
hasn't been the greatest. We've been winning on the back of our awesome defense, of an amazing defensive effort. And it was great to see them actually, shift the ball around a bit, and try some new things, and it worked. It really worked. I mean, there was two moments in the game that I just thought that were just really weird. Like, for example, it happened with Pompey and Chance when there was last tackle, and instead of trying to grab the ball and they decided to just take the tackle. I didn't get that. They knew it was the last tackle, but they decided to do something different. It just didn't make sense. But then he had another play where Jackson Ford had the ball on the last tackle and he puts a grubber in because he knows it's the last tackle. So, normal instinct is last tackle, I've got to do something here. He kicks it in and chases the ball. I thought he got impeded, but it didn't matter because Rocco Berry actually put the ball down and scored the try. But what my point I'm trying to make is look what happens when you actually try something. Like on the last tackle, put a grabber in or something. Sometimes our players on the last tackle just take a hit up and let them start again. It doesn't make sense to me. But besides those two moments, I thought our attack was pretty good, and it was on point. And yeah, I just think that if we can continue to attack like that on top of our defense as well, keep the defense going that we're going, I think, we're setting ourselves up for, a good second half of the season and to keep us in the top four as well. So that was really
Yeah.
good for me. One question I
Just
wanted to ask you was, yeah, sorry, keep going. Yep.
I was just say, just on the grabber thing, I was just having a look on NRL.com
Yeah.
before on the stats, and Jackson Fuller was
Yeah.
the only Warriors player to put a grabber through in that whole game. That was the only grubber that
There
we
you
put
go.
through in the whole game. Yeah, so it's like we just need to have a bit more inventive. We've talked about this fifth tackle
Yep.
options, but yeah, I was just really surprised. I was like amazed. I
Yeah.
was like, it shouldn't be. You should be doing that a bit more often when you get into that sort of point. And
Yep.
and shout out to Rockleberry for that finish because that was just a determined. Like he was just determined to get there. He had no right to score that. I thought, but
Yeah.
yeah, he
Yeah.
did, and it was a great try. Yeah, I really really love to see that one.
Oh, that's. I'm glad you brought that stat up because it just enhances our argument here. Where we're
Yeah,
saying that sometimes we're just putting bombs up, and we're either not competing for them, or when we do compete, something does actually happen.
Hmm.
Sometimes it doesn't always come off, but it gets close. So I'd rather give it a chance rather than just let the team just catch it and then we just tackle them. And um, like I said, I remember it specifically because I just remember just going, "What the heck are you guys doing?" Last tackle, put a grubber in or put a little chip in for yourself. Do something. But all they did
Yeah.
was just they just took the tackle. It made no sense to me. But then Jackson Ford has the mindset to go, you know what, last tackle, let's we're I'm 5 meters out from the line, 10 meters out from the line. I'm gonna put a little grubber in and look what comes of it.
Yeah.
So, if what would have happened if that was another player? Would they have just taken the tackle? So yeah, so I just reckon that they just need to tidy up that a bit as well. But other than that, I was pretty happy with the all-round game. Before we go into the Wily M's, mate, into your segment, can I just ask you one more question in regards to this game? DWZ, we've been speaking about him for a couple of weeks now about how he still hasn't really returned to form. What were your thoughts on his form this game? Because he scored that really nice try, in the air, got that try, but I thought he'd been missing it a couple of times in defence. But as he tends to do, comes in. But yeah, just want to get your all round thoughts on how DWZ went in this game. Was it an improvement from the past 3 or 4 games he's played so far since his return from injury?
I don't know if I'd say it's an improvement to be honest. But he did score that try, and that was sort of showed what he's capable of. But he kind of he got caught a bit out. I did I like a couple of those. Alex Johnson scored a hat trick. Who he was marking up against. Admittedly, one of them was a intercept, so you can't really hold that against Dallin too much. And there wasn't him who passed it, but the other two they were bits of absolute like magic from Latrell. The passes he was sending out there,
Yeah,
but yeah, Dallin was just he was a bit off defensively, like he was probably a bit further in than he needed to be, and it just gave. I mean, Alex Johnson, we know that he's one of the, he's one of the second highest try scorer of all time. So you just can't be giving that guy space, and it's come from playing
yeah.
outside of sort of Latrell and Cody Walker as well, but who also wasn't playing. But no, I'm still not convinced. He did jotted down. He was only 88 running meters for 100 from 12 runs. You compare that to the other two outside backs. Rog had about 170, I think, and Chance was hit like 330 or something. He was just,
Yeah,
yeah. And so those two were doing a lot of that hard work. Just like hitting it up from just taking those first couple of hit ups every set. And Dallin just, I don't know whether he's just the confidence isn't there. I'm not quite sure what it is, but um, yeah, I mean, if there was going to be anyone who's really their positions, um, like there's a bit of doubt over their position, I think he'd probably be one of them, or the one that I'd be circling. And there's obviously a pretty handy backup who's been filling the role earlier in the season into a picky who could come in and fill that role. So I don't think it would happen this
yeah.
week, but just one to sort of obviously look out for in the next few weeks. What were your thoughts on Jalen? Do you think he's getting better, or
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a slight improvement, but I wouldn't say it's a big vast improvement. I think he just is his defense. He needs to work on his defense, and I mean, I got to look back at the replays to be honest, because we all know he comes inside, comes inside
yeah,
too much, leaving the outside space a little bit unmarked there. But is he coming in because his inside men are going inside as well? Like I haven't actually really fully looked at it. I just tend to just look at him what he's doing. So got to actually have a proper look at that. But he's been exposed quite a bit on defense there, and just hopefully it's something that that can be tidied up because I think most teams know to target our left edge there, or our right, he's playing on the right there, so to target that edge there, and I think that's something that needs to be tidied up. But I think he's slowly coming back into it. But I would say a little improvement, but not a big vast improvement. But I'm going to ask you another question later on. We'll do it while he ends first. But I'm going to ask you a question about because we don't. We're just for everyone who's watching or listening. It's Monday night, so the team list won't be named until tomorrow. So we'll just have a quick just a couple of minutes talking about, who we think who should come into the team now, especially with Mitch Barnett out, etc. So we'll go on about that in a little bit, but let's get into your segment, mate. You can kick us off with your Wiley M's, and you just let everyone know what the Wiley M's are.
yeah. Well, the M's are our version of the Dally M's, but we just mark it on the Wires players, and so we give out 3, 2, 1 points every week. The current standings, yeah, Aaron Clark's up the front. With Luke Metcalf second, Halasima third, and Wayligan fourth. But Jackson Ford's had a couple of good weeks, so he's sort of coming up. So I'd say Aaron Clark's the favourite at the moment. But anything can happen in the season, as we see with Barnett get injured and that sort of thing. So we'll see what happens. My three for this week, just mentioned it
Yep,
before, but I had to give it a chance to be honest. With the
yep,
342
yep,
running meters it was. 28 carries, scored a real
yep,
tough try. Real pass at him, just burrowing your way through. And he led the tackle breaks as well with 8. So, just, yeah, great to see. I mean, we've both sort of had our questions about whether he's the number one fullback in the team or whether he should be used elsewhere. But he's consistently just putting up really good stats. And the work he does running the ball back and those early tackles. For not the biggest guy on the field, it's great to see. So yeah, shout out to him. I thought he was exceptional. Just a real tough game. RTS gets my 2. Obviously scored a couple of tries, had 173 running meters from 21 runs, and I think more just like Chance, it was just the work he was doing, relieving some of the pressure early on in the set. Just gave especially with sort of being down a forward, being down a prop. It did a lot of work for
yep,
the forwards and him and Chance kind of
yep.
and the work they put in. And no surprise to see Aaron Clark get one as well. Just another it's a pretty stock standard game from him, but 13 runs, 132 meters, 48 tackles in 55 minutes. So, um, yeah, I mean, he just the stats he puts up, and that's the form of sort of like him. I don't know if I mentioned him before, but the form of him makes me feel not so concerned about not as concerned maybe as I would have been last year about Mitch Barnett going down. And you got him just literally doing that every week, 140, 150 meters, 48, yeah. 48 tackles. So I think he was second in the tackle count. James Fisher-Harris was actually first with 53. So it was really, yeah, good to see him kind of stepping up once Barnett went down as well. So, but yeah, that's my 3-2-1. Who you got for us, John?
Oh, mate, honestly, pretty much exactly the same as yours, except for one player. But I wrote down actually five players. I don't know if you can see
Oh,
it in
yeah.
the notes there. Five players there, but I had between Chance, Lou Metcalf, Jackson Ford, RTS, and Aaron Clark. I had those players who were like my top, top five. But obviously I can only choose three. So my for my 3 points, I gave it to Chance as well for exactly the same reasons you mentioned. I just thought, just what a workhorse, right? 300 and or 300 and something meters throughout the whole game. I know that by the end of the first half, he'd run 198 meters. I mean, those are the kind of stats that you get from a forward from an entire game
Yeah.
over a one whole 80 minutes. But he did that in one half, and it just shows you the load that he takes off the forwards. Now, doing that gives our forwards a breather because our forwards, they get tired very easily, they get fatigued very easily, but him doing that along with Roger just gives gives the forwards just a break and gives them a chance just to re-energize quickly to make to take those hit ups because we all season one of the strengths that the Warriors have had is that they've been able to go up the field, up the middle, and make some really good meters pretty much every set, and that's on the back of obviously our forwards, but it's obviously on the back of our outside backs doing some work for them as well to make sure that they've got the energy, they're ready for the forwards to go and do that. So it just shows that what they're doing is working there. So yeah, definitely CNK. Plus he scored a try as well. Scored an awesome try there as well. I saw some comments on social media saying, "Oh, Souths were robbed. CNK, how was that not a double movement?" Well, whoever says thinking that for a double movement to happen, you have to actually be holding the player. He was
Yeah.
free from the player and jumped over. So I don't know why whoever said that, obviously a bandwagoner or someone who's just started watching rugby league this week. I don't know, but it was a great try, and yeah, I just thought he did pretty good. I thought he just had a great mammoth effort from CNK. 2 points, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck for exactly the same reasons. Scored some really good tries there as well. Took the ball up a lot and stuff, and just again took the pressure off our forwards, gave them the time to rejuvenate and get the ball up there. So RTS as well. I thought he was really great. I thought he was really good. It was a tough one for my 1 point because, like I said, I had Metcalf, Jackson Ford, or Aaron Clark, but I actually gave it to Metcalf just because I just thought he had a great game doing, in his attack. Scored a great try that pretty much length of the field try. Um, the pace is there. I know it was a bit off with his kicking at times, but I just thought, take away the kicking. I thought he had a pretty good game. So yeah, Metcalf for 1 point. So um, yeah, that's my 3-2-1, mate.
Yeah, no, I think I sort of was like, I wanted to give to Metcalf, but there was just a few parts of his game. There was obviously the intercept, and it was some pretty bad sort of fifth tackle, plays that it was a bit of a rocks and diamonds game for him. But yeah, I mean that try he scored was brilliant, and that's what he's capable of. And
Yeah,
he had a nice try assist for Dallins as well. So yeah, there was definitely a lot to like around. Also, another great game from Jackson Ford as well. 59 minutes,
yeah,
151 meters, 44 post contact, 37 tackles. So, yeah, it's just awesome to see. We've got a heap of guys who week in, week out, like the
yeah,
Jackson Ford one still blows my mind. Like how well he's been playing this year. So, and
yeah. Just does the
well,
job
to be
well.
honest
Just
with you,
does
I,
the
I
job,
wouldn't
right?
be. Yeah, yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him get
Mm.
rewarded with a start this week. To be honest, I'll throw it out
Yep,
there.
I'm with you there. I'm with you there. So I think that yeah, he's just a slow. It's like you don't really notice him too much, like because he doesn't do anything flashy. We've said this so many times, but he just gets the job done. He just knows his role. He knows what he has to do, and he just goes out and executes it every time. So
Yeah.
he's just for me he's a bit of an unsung hero at the Warriors. He's just doing what he's need to do, and yeah, no, awesome. That's why it's really hard to pick the Wally M sometimes because Aaron Clark, it's hard to leave him out because
Yeah.
week in week out he's just doing his role, he's doing his job, doing an amazing effort at it. So hard to leave him out. But yeah, those are my 3-2-1s, and just for the record, everyone, Wally M's. This is not a copy of Sport Nation. I know they've got their own Wally M's thing, but they copied us. Well, I don't know if they copied us or not because actually that's not, I don't know if they copied us, but we had it before them. So just making sure that everyone who's listening or watching this, they're saying, "Oh, are they doing the same thing as Sport Nation?" No, we had it done. We were doing this before them, well before them. So just wanted to get that out. You can see that you can hear my voice; it annoys me. So yes, just wanted to get that out. But anyway, we've spoken about the game, mate, and like I said before, it's not Tuesday, so we don't have the team list in front of us yet, and I don't expect too many changes to be made, especially because I thought last the game against Souths, that team was pretty stacked and pretty much close to a full strength team, pretty much. But now with Mitch Barnett, obviously someone has to come out. So I've said my stuff earlier, and I'll repeat that again. But I'll wait for you. I'll wait till you're gone. If you were to make any changes going on the performance against South for this game against the Sharks, which is a big game, it's a big game against the Sharks. What changes would you make to the side?
Sorry, I said to sneeze there. Um,
Yep.
yeah, as I said before, I think I'd bring Jackson Ford in to start. Um, and
Yep.
then yeah, probably Tanner Smith to the bench with Laban, not Laban, Valmaga and Halasima. And then yeah, Noah Corey and Capewell. You could bring Halasima in to start in second row and then put Noah Corey into the front, but I think Halasima, there's been a few weeks before last week where he was coming up, he
Yep.
was starting and he was playing, quite a few minutes, and he probably just didn't have the same effect, I think. And we saw it yesterday, what he's capable of. I thought he had a great game, scored a really good try. So yeah, I probably would prefer to keep him on the bench, and then yeah, you can have Sir Tamari Martin in that 14 jersey as well. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't suspect there'll be any changes in the back line. I know Rocco Berry came off early, but I think that was just
Yeah.
a big old you know heat gash. So I suppose I presume he'll just get that stitched up, and providing that's all good, he'll play. And that, as I said before, like, I think the only one that I would consider, which I don't think will happen, is the Dallin thing, and whether they take drop him and bring Tuapaki in. But yeah, I'd be very surprised to see that happen at the moment, especially with the way this team
Yeah.
is, and
Yeah.
like I mean, Andrew Webb's just a pretty loyal guy, and he's given a lot of guys chances, and we're seeing now it's paying off over time, So yeah, that would be
Yeah.
my the big change for me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I mean, this is what I would do. But now that you mentioned it, about the Halasima, yeah, maybe onto something there because I was gonna say I would put Nyukure into the front row. Whether he starts or not, I don't know. Whether he goes on the bench or Jackson Ford doesn't really matter. Just I would put him as the front rower um to replace Mitch Barnett. I would have Halasima come into the second row and come into the second row, and obviously with Halasima coming into the starting to the second row, leaves a spot open. So probably I would reckon it would be Jacob Laban to come into the second row. That's what I reckon would happen. But um, it could be Jackson Ford starting, like you said, Nyukure coming off the bench, or does he just keep a second row spot? I don't know. And then but the thing is, if they go about it that way, then one of it would have to be they would have to replace Jackson Ford's spot on the bench with a genuine front rower, right? They can't really bring in Jacob Laban to do that. You need another front rower, and if they were going to do that, I would honestly go with Bunty or Tanner Smith. So there's a few options there, but I think that the good thing for Andrew Webster is that they got a lot of depth there. There's a lot of options there. I guess you need to figure out which way you're going to go. It'll be the first game against. This will be our first game against the Sharks this season, right?
Yeah, but yeah, last time we played
Yeah.
them was
First encounter
the
with
last round last year, where we had that massive comeback, and Sean Johnson. It was Sean
yeah
Johnson's final game. It was one of the great wins. So hopefully
yeah
we get another beauty
yeah
like that.
that's right. Yep. So we got Adam Fanoa Blake reunion happening
Yeah.
hopefully um this week in this game. So yeah, that'll be a big one for the Warriors, and that's how I'd go about it. But I guess we'll find out tomorrow night. And tomorrow night, as Richard will do, as he always does, we'll come up with our team list Tuesday. Give his opinion on the team list, but I don't expect any much change. except for obviously what we've just been talking about with someone to replace Mitch Barnett and how they go about it. So yeah, that's it. That's it for Teamless Tuesday because we don't have a Teamless Tuesday. So anyway, um, I wanted to ask you another question in regards to um the Warriors, and because right now we're in round 13, so we're getting close to the halfway mark of the season, and we're sitting in third place, or second equal with Raiders, but technically we're third on the points differential. What in terms
Mhm.
of this is I'm just putting you on the spot here, mate. A, B, C, D, or F for for flunking out. What would you give the Warriors in terms of a grade in terms of at the halfway mark of the season?
Oh, mate, A plus. Like, I
A
know,
plus, nice.
I mean, some people might say, oh, you have to be first to be A plus, but from where how we were last year, from my expectations, for us to be playing so well, have played through all the injuries we've had, like last week was literally the first game
Yeah,
all season where we've had no, like a full team to pick from, no injuries and either sort of New South Wales Cup or in sort of first grade team. So no, A plus for me. I think they've been brilliant. Showed a lot of resilience. Lost a lot of won a lot of games
yep,
that previously we would have lost. So there's a mentality there which is something which I'd almost say I've never seen from the. I feel like I've never seen from the Warriors. Yeah, maybe if you sort of
yep.
date back to sort of like the O2 team. You might be able to sort of make some comparisons there, but just yeah, we're winning games which we just
Yeah,
traditionally would blow. So A plus for me.
yeah,
How about you?
yep. I'll give it an A. I just think that like I honestly wouldn't have picked them to be running third, second equal, if you want to say it that way. Um, at this point of the competition, but they're doing really well. And I wouldn't have picked the Warriors to be so resilient, because we just know something is in yesteryears, the Warriors of old would just crumble under that pressure, but they've been able to hold out, these teams and stuff, and it's been awesome to see. But so I'll give them an A. I think that if they continue that line, their mindset where they wanted to attack more, which they did, in this game against Souths, if they continue that, then I think that that grade will be lifted up higher. But I think an A is still suitable right now, and it means it's a big, massive positive thing. So they're on the right direction. We all know they're in the right direction right now. I just want to really keen to see them play against the whole. I'm really looking forward to the Warriors playing the Storm again. You know, if I can't
Yeah,
remember if they're in the draw, if that's happening in the draw again, but I want to see it again, just to see how we go back. How we go against them. After that big loss, because that big loss, was a was a hurting one. It was only the second loss of the season for us, I think, second loss of the season, and it put us, in a big, negative in terms of points differential, which is why because we're only on 5 points, I think. I think we're only on
yeah,
five
it's
points
crazy.
in points difference. So we need that decline. We need that decline. So yeah. Okay, right, mate. I've got one more question for you just before we get into tips. Um,
hmm
so Barnett out. He's the co-captain of the side. Do we leave the captaincy solely with James Fisher Harris to captain the team solely on his own? Or do we bring in another co-captain? And if we bring in another co-captain, who would you have as your co-captain? Or do you just leave it as James Fisher Harris on his own?
Oh, I just just leave it as Jake Fisher Harris. It'd almost be a
Yep.
bit disrespectful to sort of like I feel like behind the scenes that I feel like and Barnett's still going to be there. He's still going to be involved. Like I imagine he's still going to be like they'll be using him as sort of like a in training and all that sort of thing. As an extra sort of sounding board and. So I think his influence will still be there, and you look at on the field,
Yep.
half the time. I feel like was it the Warriors where like Fisher Harris was, or maybe it was last week when Kate Bell was captain and like but Wade Egan was in charge of the challenges or something like that. So, like maybe they'll do something like
Yep.
that. They'll kind of because Fisher Harris only plays probably sort of 55 to 60 minutes. There's obviously going to be a period where I imagine Wade Egan seems to have filled that role in the past, but obviously now that Kate was captain last week as well. So, but yeah, I'd just say yeah, I wouldn't bother. Sort of, I think yeah, it's pretty silly to do. Um, yeah, keep it one
Yep.
captain. You?
Now you make a good point, mate. Sorry, mate. I said make. You make a good point, mate. I think that I was actually going to think, if you're going to bring a co-captain, then it would be obviously Kurt Capewell. But yeah, no, maybe just keeping it with James Fisher Harris. They've got their own leadership group anyway. They've got a leadership group within that side, which I'm sure Wade Egan is involved in that, along with Kurt Capewell, etc. So maybe that's all that's needed. Just leave Fisher
Yeah.
Harris for it. Yeah, no, that's actually, you make a good point. You've sold me on the whole disrespect thing to Mitch Barnett thing. So you've sold me on that. So no, I'll keep it. I'll keep it as James Fisher Harris as captain. So yeah, that was the last question I want to make. So it's a bit of a shorter episode for us, but we'll finish off with tips. Do you want us to take us through the tips, mate, and then we'll wrap it up from there?
Sure thing, mate. So first game of the
Yep.
round, the Knights versus the Seagulls in Newcastle. Seagulls big win on the weekend. Did they? Who did they play? I feel like they did. Maybe I'm imagining things.
Yeah,
Let me
they.
get out the
Oh,
list.
no, 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 you're right. I can't remember who they played, but they did win. They did win. Yeah,
Where are we? Yeah, it's next to Broncos. That's right.
that's right.
Which
Yes,
you
yes.
love to see it. Broncos are in
Yep,
absolute disarray. And then the Knights lost to the Dragons. So yeah,
yep.
I'll take the Seagulls.
Same with me. The Knights just look. I mean, they had a big win the week before, right? And then they just come
Yeah,
out and just look there. I hate that thing. We both picked the Dragons to win this game because I think we just knew that it was going to happen. So, yeah, nah,
yeah,
Seagulls for me, mate.
yeah, for sure. Storm and Cowboys are up next.
Yep.
Cowboys. I don't know. Did you watch the game on was it Saturday night? It's the Tigers. Absolute barnstormer. Tigers came flying home, scored about 4 tries in the last 10 minutes, but couldn't quite win. And
Yep.
the Storm sort of wasn't super convincing, but they got the job done over the Titans. So they'll be hosting the Cowboys. I'm happy to take the Storm there. Cowboys they're a bit hot and cold, so I think they might go down this week.
Yep. Same Storm.
Dolphins, Dragons up next. Finns coming off a bye. I like the Finns there. Yeah, home.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. I'm with you on that one too. Dolphins.
I feel like this is about the time the last few seasons where the Dolphins have slid off. They've sort of started quite well, but then slowly slid down the ladder. So
Yep.
we'll see if that happens again this year. Sharks Warriors up next, obviously over in Australia at Shark Park. Um,
Yep.
Warriors, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna bet the Warriors. Of course, I'm gonna bet the Warriors.
Yeah. I'm
High
expecting
scoring
a big
affair.
game for the Warriors actually. This one.
Maybe another
Yep.
like 36-30 game because the Sharks know how to score some points, but they
Yep.
can also leak some in.
Yep. Yep.
Broncos Titans. Can the Broncos get one back?
I'm actually going to go with the Titans here. The Broncos look out of sorts. I think a lot of things are happening behind the scenes, and that's been shown through social media and just in the media in general. Just there's a lot of things going on, and apparently the players are like a bit up in arms with Maguire's coaching style. But like he's proven himself. I think the Broncos are the ones that maybe have to look at themselves in the mirror, not the coach, because they've done this to the other previous coaches as well. So everything is.
I
I
think
mean,
the
they've got
the
they've
problem
got a stacked
the
team.
problem is that they are looking the players are looking themselves in the mirror too much, and they're also goddamn good looking. You got
Good
your
call.
Reece Walshes, you got your Paddy Kerrigans,
That's
you got
actually
your
a good
Jesse
call.
Arthurs. Some beautiful boys in that team. I think, yeah, maybe they're just looking at themselves in the mirror a little bit too much.
Yeah.
I'll go the Broncos. I'll go
No, no.
the hot boys to make a bounce back. Raiders
All
Rabbitohs up
right, all
next. Should
right.
be a good game actually in Canberra. Raiders got lucky. They were down, I think, by about 12 or 14 points to quite late in the game to the Roosters, but they finished
Yeah.
strong. So definitely the Raiders have got it in them to sort of uh, going down early
Yeah.
doesn't seem to sort of worry them too much. So and it's in Canberra. It's always hard to play in Canberra. So I'll go the Raiders.
I'll go Rabbitohs just because I was hoping the Raiders were going to lose to the Roosters so we go into
Yeah,
outright second. But
yeah,
they haven't. So
it's
if
looking
I
good.
think if they lose this one, we'll go into outright second. So yep.
Yeah, well,
If we win,
providing we
that is as
win.
well. If
Yeah.
we win, yeah, providing we win, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's me. I'll go Rabbitohs.
Tigers, Panthers up next. Panthers will, they'll still have all the Origin players. Tigers, a lot going on behind the scenes there with the whole Lockie Galvin sitch. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, it is. So I'll go
Panthers for
Panthers.
me.
Yeah, same. And
Yeah,
speaking of
Panthers for
Lockie
me. Lucky
Galvin,
Galvin. I mean, yeah,
yeah, speaking of
yeah.
the Bulldogs,
So I mean,
Eels up next. And that's where he's going. He's going to the Bulldogs. Potentially, like I think he can be selected this week, and up against the Eels, who were the
yeah,
other team who were quite keen on him. Um, and yeah, so I've been interested to see sort of. I think this will be a good game. Bulldogs coming
yeah.
for
I
bye,
agree.
but they're still playing pretty good, and the Eels, they they they've got some
Yeah,
points
better.
in that team, eh?
Yeah.
I'm actually going to tip them for an upset. I think
Okay.
they've got it in them. I'm
Yeah.
not convinced about the
Well,
Bulldogs,
I'll
even
go
though they've been
Bulldogs,
really
but
good.
yeah, I'll go Bulldogs. But I mean, I'm happy to see them go down. And yeah, I mean, Lockie Galvin. I mean, if he plays this week, it'll be interesting because he's coming into a team. They'll be replacing him with a player that's been in the side that's actually that's been helping with the side's
Yeah,
success so far. So that'll
yeah,
be the hard part. If you're in the Bulldog side, if you were like part of the halves combination that's doing really well, and then all of a sudden you get kicked out for this guy, and Rocky Goldman. He's got a lot of stick this week because of that haircut, that sort of Dumb and Dumber haircut. I don't know if
yeah,
you've seen the picture. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. He's got a lot of stick, but as long as he plays good footy, I mean, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, he's got enough money now. Sure, he can find a good barber. But anyway, yeah, I'll take the Bulldogs. I'll take the Bulldogs.
Fair enough. We'll see how that goes another week. I haven't actually tallied up
Yep.
last week's tip, sorry, but I was up 44 to 37 at the start of last week. So I imagine that I'm still leading by a few points. So you got a bit of work to do to bounce back, John, and start picking some
All
dogs.
right. It's happening. It's happening. But anyway, thanks everyone. Thanks everyone for listening again. As always, we thank you for your support. We're really, really grateful. We've been seeing the numbers lift in terms of subscribers, etc., and followers and stuff on TikTok, on YouTube. So it's really great. So if you're listening to this right now, you're watching, press the like button, give us a like, give us a comment, and give us a subscribe and a follow. We give us a comment. We tend to respond as well. We try to respond to all the comments as well. So show us your support by doing that for us. It'll be really, really, we would be really grateful for that. Also, again, I know I mentioned this earlier, but I'll say it one more time. Just the prayers and hoping for prayers are with Mitch Barnett and hoping for a speedy recovery for him because yeah, he's gonna be missed. He's gonna be missed no matter what. Despite the fact that we have the depth in the team, he's gonna be missed. So hopefully, hopefully he'll be bouncing back soon. And he'll still be in his prime when he gets back as well. So other than that, everyone have a good night and up the wires, everyone.
Up to us, baby. Choo choo choo, we've got the faith.